Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another review. Every year there's always at least one movie that surprises me, or at least that's been the case the past few years. 2 years ago, it happened to be the movie Game Night. Last year, it happened to be the movie The Art of Self-Defense. And this year, it was Palm Springs. That's right, I'm going to be giving you my review of Palm Springs today. Now, what I meant by a movie that surprises me is it is usually a movie that is not on my radar. Usually it's one that I haven't seen the trailer for or I just didn't hear about. And then I decide, you know what, I want to go see something, decide just to go see it, and I come out of it with it being one of my favorite movies of the year. And that was the case with Palm Springs. I did see that it came out to Hulu about a month ago, and I really had no desire to see it. You know, it was a Andy Samberg film, and he has kind of a poor track record. I'm not a big fan of a lot of his movies. He kind of has, his humor isn't really my style of humor. But, you know, given that I'm in quarantine here still, I had a good friend of mine recommend some movies to me, one of which was Palm Springs. So I figured, you know what, I'm gonna go watch it, and I'm really glad I did. Guys, this is the funniest movie of 2020 so far, and it had some incredible dialogue. Look, yes, Andy Samberg, he can be a really funny guy when he wants to be. I'm usually not a big fan of his humor, but in this movie, it works. And this movie, you would think it'd just be a bunch of dumb jokes or dumb scenes. No, this movie has a really well thought out plot. It is a hell of a romantic comedy. It's a lot of fun. And the reason I say that is what makes the best rom-coms in my mind are the ones that kind of jump through a bunch of different genres. So it's not just a romantic comedy, but in this case, it's a sci-fi film, it's somewhat of an adventure film, and it's a little bit of a philosophical film. It's not super deep, but it has some pretty cool plot points to it. That being said, the humor is wickedly funny. The dialogue in this movie is some of the best I have seen, at least this year, maybe with the exception of The Gentleman, which was also pretty funny, but this one was just consistently funny. There was one line in particular from J.K. Simmons, who plays this absolutely batshit crazy guy who's hunting Andy Samberg's character called Roy. Roy ends up talking with him, and he's talking about, you know, being in this time loop where, just like Andy Samberg's character and Cristin Milioti's character, they're basically trapped repeating the same day over and over and over. And he's talking about that and how, you know, he's upset he never gets to see his kid's age and he never gets to walk his daughter down the aisle. And J.K. Simmons, after he says all that, his son is just like sitting there with a garden hose, like watering dog shit. And J.K. Simmons says perhaps the funniest line I've ever heard.
Little Joey tending his dog shit.
I was rolling on the floor when I heard that. I mean, there's so many moments like that. They do a good job despite the premise of them repeating the same day over and over and over. The movie does a good job of keeping it fresh, where they do different things every day, and you kind of see the way that both the main characters, in Andy Samberg's character and Cristin Milioti's character, take it differently. You know, Andy Samberg and Cristin Milioti, their characters are at a different point in the process, where Samberg's character, he's kind of like in the middle of being trapped, repeating the same day over and over and over. And because of that, he has a much different attitude towards it than Cristin Milioti's character, who gets stuck in it right from the beginning. And that's pretty cool to see. And that brings me to Cristin Milioti. Yes, this is Andy Samberg is the main character in this film, but Cristin Milioti is the one who carries this film. I haven't gotten to see a lot of her on screen. She was in that one really good Black Mirror show, episode that is one of my favorites, the Star Trek one, the I think it's called the USS Callister or something like that, and she was really good in that. And she was really good in this movie, too. Every time I see her on screen, I develop more and more of a crush on her. I mean, she is fantastic in this movie. Her character the reason her character has to carry this movie is because whereas Andy Samberg is more the comedic relief, she almost kind of plays the straight man, but not in the way you would think. Her character has a lot of depth to it. Samberg's character does too, but again, it's played more for comedic effect with his character than hers is. Hers is played off as, kind of being the one who thinks through their problem, gets them out of their issue, can't really come to terms with it, and kind of plays devil's advocate for Andy Samberg's viewpoint of, if we relive the same day over and over and over, what the hell is the meaning behind it all? I'm just going to live life the way I want. I'm just going to say, fuck it. We can't die. We're immortal. I might as well live my life with no rules and just basically screw around with people. And her character can't come to terms with that. Her character, especially because they start to develop feelings for each other, her character really tries to push on him the meaning of everything, even though they're stuck in this time loop. It's an incredible movie. I'd highly recommend it. I would say it's even better than Game Night. Game Night prior to this was my favorite romantic comedy because, again, it kind of breaks what a traditional rom-com is, and it's wickedly funny, but this one is one that I would highly recommend because this one, it's a lot more well executed. The plot is not as all over the place as it is in Game Night, and the chemistry between the two leads is great, and all the characters honestly are phenomenal. J.K. Simmons is really fun in this movie as well, and the premise is one. Game Night, you've kind of seen the premise a little bit, at least twice. This one, it's truly unique. I have not seen a premise like we've seen in Palm Springs in a while, and it's really cool to see rom-coms that have these cool premises because it seems to be a genre of film that gets a little stale after a while. So it's nice to see one that's refreshing like this. I'm going to rate Palm Springs required viewing. Guys, as of right now, this is going to be on my top 10 films of 2020 list. I cannot talk this film up enough. If you have not seen it, it's completely worth seeing, and it's a really fun date night movie that both men and women will enjoy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to give a quick shout out to Francisco Cronin, who was the one who ended up telling me about Palm Springs and saying I have to watch it. You were completely right, man. It was absolutely worth seeing. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.